Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we are joining the rest of the world in creating awareness for early screening, early detection, early treatment, and of course, better management of breast cancer. Breast cancer is the most common form of cancer among women globally, and the second most common form of cancer across the board after lung cancer. Now, on her standards, we are taking it a notch higher and recognizing and celebrating the champions who work day and night, round the clock, towards the cause. We have a champion with us today, and of course, this is Her Standards with me, Quinta Mbori. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us for yet another episode of the program that is all about celebrating women without apologies. We have a cancer champion with us in studio. Before long, she'll be able to tell us more about herself and what she does towards supporting the cancer disease. Now, I have a question for you. When was the last time, or have you ever had a breast cancer screening? Whether you are a man or a woman watching us from whichever part of the country, please talk to us at KTN Home across all social media platforms, or you can also engage me at Quinta Mbori on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. When was the last time, or have you ever had breast cancer screening? How was that experience for you? Please do not hesitate to talk to us. Now, allow me to introduce our guest, the champion, Dr. Catherine Nyongesa Wata.
Thank you so much.
Hyphen Water.
Yes.
Welcome to Her Standards.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
I think you're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, how many jobs do you have, Daktari? Let's just start from there.
Okay. I thank God this far. I know, like every human being, every woman has a purpose in the world, and God sent us to do some jobs.
Yeah.
So for me, I have many jobs. I am a wife, a mother, and then I'm also a lecturer or a teacher. I teach university students in oncology. I'm also a doctor, so I treat cancer patients. I am an administrator. I'm the head of a cancer unit at Kenyatta National Hospital. And on the side, I'm also a director. I run my own business with my husband, so I'm a director of the Texas Cancer Center, among many, many other roles. Yeah.
I don't know if people were keeping tabs, but that almost led to, I was counting, it's about 7 and still counting,
Yes.
among others.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, the difficult parts of this conversation, as we were walking into Texas Cancer Center, a lot of questions in my mind, and of course, I'm sure even our viewers have those questions for you. You know, because Texas Cancer Center is on Mbagathi Way, and the Texas that we know is somewhere is it in South Carolina?
In Houston.
In Houston.
In U.S.
In the United States. So where is the link? Why did you decide that I'm going to call this place the Texas Cancer Center?
As you grow up, you always have a role model. Yes. So for Texas Cancer Center, our role model is the MD Cancer Center, which is in Texas. Oh. It is the biggest cancer center in the world, and in America for that matter. So that is our role model. Apart from that, I have a lot of, relations with the Houston, Texas. Our last born son, CJ, was born in Texas.
Okay.
And then my husband also has been practicing in Texas as a pharmacist for a long time. Okay. So due to that, we came together and we said, let's just call it Texas. And then Texas is a simple name for many people to remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, the connection. I mean, because it puzzled me. I was just wondering, yeah, Texas, like, Nairobi,
and
Mbagathi,
it's in Kenya. Yeah, people always ask.
Very nice. Anyway, as we also were coming in and we were at the reception area of Texas Cancer Center, we also noticed that The place is star-studded. There are very many pictures of celebrities. We have seen Rick Ross. We even have a Rick Ross ward.
Yes.
And we have a Diamond Platinum's ward. And we have, who is this other person? Omarion.
Omarion, DeMarco.
What?
Yeah, P-Square.
P-Square ward is also here.
Yeah, he opened one of the machines.
Very nice. Tell me more about that.
Oh,
Do we have any
also,
Kenyans?
Yeah, Kenyan, we've had.
Okay. Celebrities who has been here?
Yeah, Nameless has also been here.
Okay.
So when I look at musicians, those stars, they are always working hard and they encourage me.
Okay.
And number one, like we're always focusing on them in terms of what next big hit will they produce.
Yeah.
So they are always cooking something,
Yeah.
and we're always looking out like what are they going to give us next time.
Yeah.
And also through music, music is therapeutic, and it everyone I think identifies with music, and more so with the patients when I see a star coming to Texas and giving me hope message and telling me that it will be okay. And when we listen to their music, it is really encouraging, and that is why. And I follow the music stars, and then there are neutral people. They impact on everyone, whether young, old. You will somehow listen to music.
Do they offer some, apart from the therapy, do they support the center?
I think they support the center mainly in terms of creating awareness that cancer is affecting everyone, and through their music, through their presence, they can sensitize people, just let people know this cancer exists and there's something that can be done, and there's hope.
There's hope.
Yeah.
Indeed, you're really bringing Texas to Kenya. We can feel the vibe, we can feel the energy. It's a good thing. Anything to light up the world of cancer patients. I hope you've realized at this point that this interview is probably more focused on Texas Cancer Center. I think probably that is because it is one of the reasons why you are known, and maybe you can tell us a bit about the inspiration. I know we appreciate the fact that you do other responsibilities, but this one is probably what brought you into the limelight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So one of the inspiration was that I saw the plight of cancer patients in terms of accessing timely treatment, and I always believe the government is you and me as an individual in a small way. How can I impact other people's lives? To leave behind some legacy that I did something. When I go to God, I tell him, God, I did something to change somebody's life. And for cancer patients, one of the biggest barrier to timely treatment was really just having a healthcare facility. And at that time, we had very few cancer centers in the country. So I joined the group of, instead of complaining, let's do something
about it.
And then also cancer has affected people close to my family. My sister is a cancer survivor. She had choriocarcinoma, which is a cancer that comes in the womb, in the uterus, and she was treated and cured. I also have my father-in-law, the father to my husband, who had prostate cancer. Unfortunately, he succumbed to the disease because it was discovered late. The time when we encouraged him to go for screening, he had other things to do, and he said, no, let me go finish up my business. By the time we discovered, it was late. So because of this late diagnosis, we want to see how we can, in terms of creating awareness for people to come early, and then there's also hope after treatment, because we know some have been treated and cured. All those motivations have been there. And what keeps me going and saying let's continue pushing on with the center is the patients that we have actually treated and they have recovered from the cancer. Like the Uwezo Cancer Support Group, they come back and they say, doctor, you know, our lives have been changed. Like, we've gotten treatment and we are better. And that makes me every day to wake up, because I know even if we lose some, but God is always there to cure others through our hands.
That's lovely. Before we come back to the story of your father-in-law, which is of course the story of many people, many Kenyans, there's always that fear or stigma about going for screening. I wanted us to talk about setting up this place. Yes, many people. This show is about setting standards for women. It's about inspiring women and allowing us to be able to take a leap of faith and move to the next level. Now, many women are stuck with the dreams in their mind. Some of them take them to the grave because of procrastination or just lack of information. If you want to set up a center, a business, because in as much as you are also doing, you're part and parcel of cancer management, you're also in business. So how is that process of setting up a business, especially in Kenya? Would you say it's easy? Would you say it's manageable?
It's not easy, but it's doable.
It's doable.
You just have to be determined. The first thing is, first you have the dream, have the idea.
Okay.
Now if you have the idea, it will now move to execution. How are you going to execute? And before you execute, you need to test some of the waters. Like personally, I had to shadow a lot of doctors, like walk in their path. They call me anytime they have a patient I need to see.
Yeah.
So I really put in all my effort, work hard, prove to them that you are capable of working hard without being supervised. Once you build that portfolio, now you venture into your own business because you've learned some things apart from training. You've learned through apprenticeship. Now you go now to set up your own business. You also have to look at the funding. Are you going to get your own savings? It's important that you also put aside your own savings and also try to convince the bank that this dream is valid. So for me, we had to have what's called a business case to show like you have to go through what's called SWOT analysis, like what are the risks of setting this business and what is the success rate, like what are you projecting. So all those things I actually went through, and after analyzing the business case, thinking through and building some capacity to a certain level to take that risk, because starting a business is a risk, and you know that you can win or lose. Yeah. So and sometimes as much as you lose, you'll have to put your pieces together and move on. You don't give up because it is quite challenging. Number one is you don't have capital, and some of this capital you'll acquire either through loans or people will advance you goods like cancer treatment, cancer medication are expensive. You have to think about the salaries of the staff, and it's not easy. But through God's grace, most of the time you'll be lucky. It all calls for patience.
Patience. You need to be patient.
Yeah.
I hope women who have had ambitions and dreams of setting up, hospital facilities, any other business, for that matter, they have heard from Dr. Nyongesa. You have to be patient. You have to put in the hard work, and you also have to do a lot of apprenticeship and mentorship.
True.
I think I didn't have proper breakfast. Anyway, now back to your father-in-law, who is actually a representative of many people. There is a popular saying in this country that what you do not know does not kill you. Why is it that there is a certain air of fear around screening, not just for cancer, but also for just having routine check of the physiological function of the body, generally in Kenya? Because we only walk into hospital when we are sick.
The fear really comes because people imagine that when you get to know you have a serious problem affecting you, like a serious illness like cancer, it equates to death. But that's not the true picture, because like for cancer, we know that early detection and timely treatment can save lives. And because of that fear, people try to self-treat themselves, or they just retreat back and not go for checkup or treatment in a hospital. And when the disease or the cancer overwhelms them, you really find it is too late to do anything. So it is important that we 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 try to avoid the stigma, the fear in people that any cancer diagnosis is equivalent to death, because we know that there are people who've been treated for cancer or other serious illnesses and they have recovered. Yeah, so we should just have the hope. And most of the time, the ailments that disturb people is not cancer. And if you have an illness that is persisting more than 2-3 weeks, more than 4 weeks, you are getting attention for typhoid, malaria, it is not going. It is always good to have a second opinion to be checked, because cancer you cannot hide cancer. You cannot hide some of the common diseases like COVID-19, like HIV, like TB. Somehow they manifest themselves. So it's always better to take action as on a personal level, so that you seek advice before things run out of hand.
But do we have to wait to experience the symptoms?
Always we don't want you to wait to experience the symptoms. You can set targets in life. Also set targets, like every birthday I will be going for some checkup, because our body really do a lot of work. And it is good, like you say, every 1 year or 2 years I'll go for cancer screening or any checkup for other conditions, because we know that in our country cancer is just number 3 in terms of the leading causes of death. Number 1 are infections. So these common infections we should not ignore, because they can take our lives away. Number 2 is cardiovascular diseases, like high blood pressure. Go for diabetes checkup. You know, those are also serious problems. Then cancer is just number 3. So always take an initiative to be screened for all those things, infections, high blood pressure, diabetes. You know, as you come of age, it is good that you really take care of your body.
Very well said, Dr. Nyongesa. If you're just joining us, this is Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. We have with us Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. She is a Jill of many trades. She's a lecturer. She is a lead oncologist at KNH. She says Texas Cancer Center is a side hustle. I can only imagine how much work one person can take, but there she is, she does it, and she's doing it graciously. We are creating awareness around Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the month of October. We are talking about early screening, early detection, early treatment, and better management of the second most common cancer across all cancers in the world, and the leading cause and the most common cancer among women globally in the world over. I asked you a question. Have you ever taken a breast cancer screening, and what was that experience for you? I'll tell you about my experience when we come back after the break. If you have any comment, talk to us at KTN Home across all social media platforms, or you can talk to me at Queen Tambori on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. This is the show that is all about celebrating women unapologetically. Today, we are having a cancer champion. Remember, we are in the month of October, and this is the month when we create awareness around early screening, early detection, and better treatment of cancer. We have Dr. Catherine Nyongesa, Jill of many trades. She is a CEO founder of Texas Cancer Center here in Nairobi, Kenya. Believe you me, when you walk in, it feels like Texas when you look around. But of course, we sympathize and empathize with the patients who are facing this deadly disease. Before we took a break, we were talking about breast screening for both men and women. Have you ever had yours? And what was that experience for you? I promised to talk about mine, but before I give you my experience, we have the Daktari in the house. let her tell us more about the importance of breast screening, especially for women. Daktari,
Yeah.
karibu sana.
Thank you. Breast cancer in Kenya is the leading cancer in women, actually. And it is a disease, if detected early, can be cured. It actually gives us some warning signs before it is too late. So it will involve like you yourself examining your breast. In fact, you are the best doctor of your breast. So examine your breast every month just to feel for any unusual lumps and bumps inside the breast. Having said that, breast cancer affects men too.
Yeah.
It accounts for 1% of all the breast cancers. So it is important as a man, if you feel something in your breast, do not ignore it. It could be cancer or it could be an uncancerous condition.
Yeah.
The goodness is that 80% of all the lumps that we feel in our breast, both men and women, are not cancerous. So don't fear to go to hospital.
Okay.
So during this October, we are creating now more awareness about breast cancer, and we know that early detection saves lives. So even if you don't feel a lump, if you are above 35 years of age, it will be good to go to have at least a baseline mammogram, which is an X-ray to check your both breasts, just to be reassured. And then after that, the doctor will advise on what interval you can go for another checkup. There are certain risk factors that really contribute to breast cancer. Number one is just being a woman. So women, we are more at risk. Number two is age. As women grow older, even the men, the risk of breast cancer increases. Another risk factor could be genetic. If you've not had children before, lack of breastfeeding is also a risk factor. Nowadays, women, we are busy in education and everything. So when you have your first baby after the age of 30, it is also a risk factor for breast
After
cancer.
the age of 30?
Yeah, so we are advised to have our first baby before 30. So when you wait until you are 30, the risk is higher. This is based on research. Also, prolonged use of contraceptives. It is not good. So we'll only encourage it to be utilized when you are planning your family.
Any form of contraceptives?
Yeah, prolonged use. So use it when necessary. We don't encourage young girls in schools, secondary school, starting use of contraceptives in that early age, because this continuous exposure to hormones until they are older, it can bring them, can put them at a higher risk of breast cancer.
Well said. Well, Daktari just said a lot of, I don't know whether to say shocking information for me. I don't know whether it's shocking to you, like use of contraceptives, having a baby above 30. You probably didn't know that. Maybe I didn't know that. But that is the reality, and that is why we have our standards, because we are able to give you information that is beneficial to you. Thank you so much, Daktari. And you also mentioned that 80% of lumps, of breast lumps, are actually non-cancerous.
Yes.
When I was young, I must have been in, can't remember if it's second or third year, I just the way Daktari is saying about doing the self-examination, we were joking about it in campus with my roommate. We're like, we need to, can we examine ourselves? So we did, and I felt a lump. I was in shock. I was like, what? Because I'd never felt it before. So I went for, it stressed the hell out of me. I panicked. And eventually, I think I found myself at Mata. My sister insisted, because I think back then my mom had passed on. So the closest person I could confide in was my sister. She encouraged me. I came to Mata. I went through the physical exam with the doctor. A biopsy was done. And I came back, the results came back after 1 week. It was 1 week of hell.
Yeah,
1 week
the
of
long wait.
1 week of hell, but when the results came, I was told it's not cancerous. In fact, after a while, the lump disappeared. So that is just my experience. So I think sometimes you never know how the screening will go. Some people have actually saved their lives from just going for the routine check, and the exam and the test, and the doctors have been able to save their lives, even though they were found out to be having cancerous lumps. Now, Daktari, you know, one thing that I know about cancer is that there's a close link between cancer and poverty. How accessible is treatment, especially for those who come from the marginalized communities, those who are poor? How accessible is it, and what are some of the things that they can do?
So number one initiative is you as a patient, even if you don't have money, and then family support is very key.
Yeah.
Also getting enrolled on NHIF or any other insurance that can be of help.
Yeah.
Let's not wait until we are sick before enrolling on any form of insurance. Because if you get cancer today and you enroll on NHIF today, you know it will not help you.
That's true.
You need time for the insurance to mature, and that is usually like 2 months, and cancer will not be waiting for the 2 months. Cancer care is quite expensive because it is a complex disease. It's not just one disease, and it involves many specialties. Yeah, from the initial presentation, when you have symptoms, you go to the local doctor. Then from the local doctor, they have to refer you to another doctor to take a biopsy, which is a sample for the lab, or maybe mammogram. You need a radiology people to be involved. And then from there, if it is you need surgery, then the surgeon will be involved. From surgical, you go to an oncologist. For example, you need chemotherapy, radiotherapy. So all those costs, and there's also supportive care, the complications of cancer, the pain medication you'll need, the lab tests you'll need, counseling, you know, it is frightening, the nutrition, you need a nutritional advice. So it is very complex. It's not like malaria. I go to my GP, I'm given an injection or tablets, we are done.
That's it, yeah.
This one you need multiple people, and that is why the cost of care is more expensive. And if you have an insurance like NHIF, it eases the burden, the financial burden on the family. Because we know that, say you are in the county hospitals and you need surgery, NHIF will pay fully. You understand? If you need chemotherapy, there are like 10 chemotherapy centers in the country which have been put up by our government. So you can access that treatment there using your NHIF. If you need more advanced treatment or complex chemotherapy, we know there are hospitals in Nairobi, like even Texas, where NHIF can also pay for your treatment. So that is one way of trying to overcome the financial burden in managing this disease. And also early diagnosis is key. When cancer is in the early stage, you don't need multiple treatments. Surgery can just be enough, and then you not need chemo or radiotherapy. So you find if you had your surgery in the counties, it was a stage 1 disease or stage 2, the doctor tells you now it is just more follow-up, and you may not need other additional expensive treatments.
And you know, again, based on my interaction with family, friends, normally after a cancer diagnosis, the next thing that comes to mind is twende India. So do you think that patients of cancer, the option to go to India, is it because we don't have the expertise, enough expertise locally, or is it cheaper when you do it abroad?
Okay, a cancer patient is free to seek treatment anywhere if they can afford it. You can be treated locally or go to India, for instance. What I can say is that in the past 5 years, there has been a lot of growth in terms of facilities available to cancer patients locally. We have many private hospitals, like in Nairobi, you can count quite a number. If you go to the government, we have national cancer treatment centers. We have KNH, which is the oldest, and then we have Kenyatta University, which is offering cancer care. Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital is also offering, and we have other centers coming up in Garissa, Nakuru, Kisumu, Kisii, just to mention a few. So there's a lot of hope and development in this space. Apart from the infrastructure itself, we also have, as a country, there's a lot of growth in terms of training the human resource that are involved in cancer care. We have universities training cancer doctors, oncology doctors, University of Nairobi, Moi University. The medical training college is training nurses in oncology. We look at universities like Kenyatta University, Jomo Kenyatta University, and even University of Nairobi is offering master's degree courses for nursing in oncology. And then we have other universities teaching whom we call physicists and therapists. Those are the ones who are involved in the radiotherapy care. And so there's a lot of development in that aspect. And majority of the cancer cases can be managed locally, but there's a small percentage which patients are justified to go overseas, especially for like a transplant, bone marrow transplant. We still don't have it available locally. And other maybe advanced treatments, generally the doctor will advise which case can go there and which case can be treated locally. Because I find people going to India for even surgery when we have enough surgeons in the country who can perform that surgery. Or they go for radiotherapy. We have enough machines in the country to offer radiotherapy services for the patients. Some will say, oh, I'm going for a PET scan. We have a PET scan in the country. And I'm happy to report that Kenyatta University will also be soon setting up a PET scan facilities. So there's a lot at home. I think it's a myth that it's cheaper to go to India than being treated in Kenya. But with all these facilities available, the cost is still better, cheaper at home. And you have also a lot of family support when you are at home.
That's true.
You come for your radiotherapy, go back to your family. If you are working, by the way, you know you can continue working. Being a cancer patient does not mean you are going to give up all your responsibilities. If you are a parent, you continue being a parent. So you can imagine being away from your family, from your children. It's very stressful. You'll be worrying about the kids. But if you are treated locally, you know you'll soon be going back to your family and continue supporting them. You have a shoulder to lean on than being alone in a further country.
I can imagine. How long have you been doing this, Dr. Catherine?
Soon after my internship, I came back to Nairobi. I was at Kenyatta Hospital as a general practitioner. And luckily, I was posted into the cancer unit. And I've been in this cancer space practicing, seeing cancer patients for, I would say, close to 20 years.
Close to 20
as
years.
a general practitioner and then as a specialist, and maybe in the past over 10 years as a specialized doctor. Yeah.
How do you does it affect you? How does it affect your moods? Is there a point when you get attached to a patient and then you lose them? Then how do you deal with that?
Yeah, generally patients are our friends. They are our colleagues. You know, a patient can be you or me, you know. So they are normal human beings, and when cancer strikes, they really feel like the world has stopped. And we work with them, and if I lose a patient, I really get affected because some of them, like the Uwezo Cancer Support Group, we are friends.
Oh, are they the ones with the nice
pictures?
With
the
in
nice
the reception?
pictures there.
That is so
So we are
amazing,
so close, and we share a lot apart from the cancer treatment. You know, they have social issues that we share, and some of them are like Esther. Esther, she has helped me, like when I needed I lost my ID, I go to her, I say, you used to work with the registration, so can you help me? So we are friends, so I really get attached to them and always like pray to God that we treat them, they get better. But unfortunately, some of the cancer patients come when it's too late and the treatment doesn't work well, or they succumb to the cancer, and it's very sad, and so I get affected. And over time, I've learned to cope with all these things and accept, because once you accept, you have to move on. So once I accept, I just pray to God, and sometimes I just want to take my mind off. And that's why you see a lot of musicians, like I also go to listen to music.
Oh, you listen to music?
Yeah, just to try and like cope with the whole situation. Though it's not easy, but it is something I chose to do, and I have to deal with the consequences. Yeah.
Wow, that must be tough.
Yeah.
Must
Very
be really
tough.
tough. You know, one of the things that any patient, not just cancer patient, need is actually the support of the family and friends. Maybe what is it that, as we are still creating awareness, maybe there's a lot of information that our family and friends don't know. How can we offer support to cancer survivors or cancer patients who are part and parcel of our community, or even our family, who are our friends? I think that's your camera, so you can, what is it that we can do?
Yeah. So number one thing is that cancer is not an infectious disease, so one should not fear supporting a cancer patient. So as families, we can shake hands with cancer patients. We can assist them to feed, to take a bath, all those things you can do. You can offer to take them to hospital. They are not going to infect you with cancer. And then you can offer financial support. You can adopt a patient, just pay for their NHIF so that they access care through that card. And also be aware that cancer can affect anyone, and it's not like it is for special people. It is just for us. And when you take the patient to hospital, also request the doctors there that can they also check you. You can be screened as you escort that patient. Go for screening. And also enroll yourself on an insurance. Don't wait for you to be sick to enroll, or just think, oh, it is the cancer patient who needs, because other illnesses may come in the family, and you've strained so much supporting this cancer patient, and if the rest of the members of the family don't have insurance, you find the financial burden is going to be higher. So it is good that we all somehow look for an insurance that you can go to. There are many private insurances, and we know the public one, the NHIF, that many people are able to try and afford that kind of insurance. Apart from financial support, as a caregiver, you can donate blood for a patient. You can just create awareness about cancer. When you come to hospital, you learn about what are the commonest cancers. Ask the doctor. And when you go back to the community, you spread that awareness. You can also learn from your patient what made her or him come late to hospital. How could we have done things better? So all those are things that revolve around the care of the patient. But I can also say that we have to work as a team, because when the patient gets healed, the whole family, the community also wins.
That's very true. That's very true. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yes.
Now, Daktari, away from matters, hospital, and all that goes around managing and treating cancer patients, I know you're on the 5th floor.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
They say the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Is it true? Because we are somewhere in the waiting room. We're just scaling the heights. How is life on the 5th floor?
Well, I think it is, okay, life starts at 40, and then at 50, I think you've achieved the peak, God willing. 5th floor is, it's a good space. I thank God how He has taken me this far, but it also comes with own challenges. Sometimes you find like you get a bit stressed easily. That's what I've realized.
Okay, we are taking notes.
I try to stay calm, and then you find also you try to slow down. You know, like I used to walk very fast. Yeah. Nowadays, I take my time. Yeah, I do things on my time.
At your pace.
At my pace.
Okay.
Yeah, but so far, so good. I cannot say there are drastic changes, but it helps me like appreciate simple things in life. Like that's what I'm looking at, little things in life that make you happy, and you have to capitalize on that. And it also gives me an opportunity to appreciate the young people, because I know that tomorrow is theirs, and we're just here to create space for them, but they'll have to fit in their own puzzle and move cancer care or our community or our country to the next level. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daktari. It's been a pleasure to have you on Her Standards.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana. And thank you for the work that you're doing for the community on cancer care and for bringing Texas to Nairobi. Yeah, we hope that a step at a time we'll be able to get it to the level where you want it to be.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Asante.
All right. Well, that has been Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. Thank you so much, dear viewer, for joining us and keeping us company for your weekly dose of inspiration of female champions and female role models. This is the month of October, and we are creating awareness around breast cancer. Have you had your screening? What was that experience for you? We had today Dr. Catherine Nyongesa, CEO and founder of Texas Cancer Hospital, among other responsibilities. She is very much involved in cancer care in Kenya. We celebrate her during this month, and we hope that you can also find a cancer champion around your locality or where you are, and you can also celebrate them. Thank you so much for keeping us company. Thank you for your feedback. Talk to us at KTN Home across all social media platforms, or you can also engage me at Queen Tambori on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. Before we go, I leave you with a popular quote. Remember to keep your standards, your head, as well as your heels high. Till next time, bye for now.
Woman of the Week, Honorable Justice Teresia Matheka. Honorable Justice Teresia Matheka is a judge of the High Court of Kenya at Nyeri and an immediate former chief magistrate in charge at Mombasa Law Courts. Justice Matheka is a member of the NCAJ Special Task Force on Children Matters, which is a body under the judiciary of Kenya. Justice Matheka was among the first magistrates to be appointed and gazetted as a children's magistrate in 2002 by then Chief Justice Honorable Bernard Chunga, and has been instrumental in establishing child protection units in Kenya. The Honorable Judge is also a committed member of the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association and the Kenyan Women Judges Association. As a member of Kenya Women Judges Association, she is involved in the Jurisprudence of Equality program, the establishment of court users committees that are sensitive to issues of sex and gender-based violence, and with the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association, she handles the Refugee Laws Training Program. Honorable Justice Teresia Matheka has on 23rd September 2021 declared being a housewife is a full-time job in her recent ruling. Justice Teresia Matheka says that it was utterly unfair for courts to rule that housewives have no significant contribution to the family's financial growth as she was presiding over a matrimonial property dispute. Lady Justice Teresia Matheka's recent ruling might made her famous not only in Kenya but across the world, with almost every other blog in Africa covering her ruling and her statements about being a housewife is a full-time job.